Before we get into today's mailbag, a big thank you to everyone who has followed us on Instagram. We have passed the 1,000-follower mark. Thank you all so much for that. If you haven't already, go follow us at Cowboys Report IG. From We Don't Wife These 304s, I got us winning 10 to 12 games. I think that's fair and realistic. My expectation for this team, they're not going to be as good as they were last year. The schedule's a bit harder. I think 10 or 11 is doable. Maybe only win 9, and then I think you make the playoffs as a wild card, and you probably win maybe one game or get sent home immediately. Because that's about the talent I think this team has from top to bottom, from head coach to quarterback to the entire roster. I think that's what they are. Ecuador man, more washed in your opinion, Dalvin Cook or Cowboys Eddie George? It's a great question. First off, Cowboys Eddie George is a Cowboys legend. Man, Eddie fell off a cliff, and he was done afterward completely. I actually think that's probably a decent comparison. The numbers look different because the era was different, to be sure. I'm going to go with Cowboys Eddie George because he was out of the NFL. Dalvin Cook might get one more year. But that's a great question, Ecuador, man. Really, really good one there. He will be available in our Cowboys legend conversation as well. From Chris Johan, is that a J or it's got to be a J, right? Not an I, it's a J. Can the Cowboys get Khalil Herbert? I'd love to get him. I think it'd be a great idea. I'm not going to get my hopes up for it. If the Bears are willing to trade him, I've got all these conditional 5th-round picks. Please take one. Take one. I want to have that option to make that happen. I think that'd be a good thing for the Cowboys. So I would have interest in him. I don't know if the Bears are going to trade him away. But I think if you're looking for an early down runner who is efficient, not the most explosive, but at least offers efficiency, I think that fits what you don't really have. Either you need an early down lead back who is like a better version of Dowdle at this point in his career, or I need someone with juice. I think Herbert can be the early down efficiency back. I can figure out third down with other players. So will the Cowboys get another running back? Y for yes, N for no. It's the pinned comment on today's video. That ad comes on YouTube. Great. Take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. Y for yes, N for no. From Zeno, $5 super chat. Thank you, my friend. I'm currently wearing my Zach Martin jersey because it is exactly 70 days until football returns from the Ravens and the Chiefs. It says Cowboys win 38-12. Is that about the Madden sim? Is it about week 1? Who knows? I think that Ravens-Chiefs game is going to be a banger. Chiefs started last year pretty poorly. They're getting one of the tougher games knocked out. Both teams are there. I will be happy once football is back, and I do include preseason. That gives me something to talk about and enjoy. Jimmy Rogers, hey, Tom, if I say maybe, would that count for something about Terence Steele? Sure. I think in general with Steele, he is a maybe. He returned way faster than most people thought was going to happen. It was really impressive, frankly, how quickly he got back out there on the football field. That does matter. But the return to play was there, not the return to performance. If the return to performance does not happen, he is going to be the Cowboys' most obvious cut candidate next year, and frankly, one of their few. They don't really have any high-paid players under contract next year. Technically, Micah's 5th-year option, Trayvon Diggs, and Steele. That's kind of it. From Steven Goltz, which are worse, Madden refs or the NFL refs? I'm going to go with the NFL refs because the Madden refs, it's just code and whatever. I'm going to go with the NFL refs. I think they continuously find ways to screw up the sport in embarrassing fashion. I liked how they handled things in the playoffs. There was clearly a verdict from the top of don't throw as many flags, and the product was better. Whomst among us could have seen that one coming? So I think NFL refs are worse. A couple of different back questions already today, at least the one on Herbert. If you want the Ezekiel Elliott 15 jersey, get yours today over at chatsports.com/Zeke15 jersey. That link will be in the comment section, and it will be in the description of today's show. That's chatsports.com/Zeke15 jersey. Get yours today if you want to rep the new jersey for Ezekiel Elliott. From Big Bob Schultz, is that Dalton's dad or something? Would Courtland Sutton help this team to be better in the playoffs? Probably would make you a better team. He's better than Jalen Tolbert. Is the opportunity cost the same? No, probably not the same, to where I think it makes a ton of sense for you as an organization. I also don't think this team is like, oh, just, one good receiver away, or even just one good defensive lineman or one good running back away. They didn't do anything to get themselves better on paper this offseason. That makes it really tough for me to fully believe that, oh yeah, one little tweak. You needed some big tweaks. You're close. Didn't do anything. I think you took a step back this offseason. So name a player who you want the Dallas Cowboys to add this offseason. Any player via, I guess preseason almost now, trade, cut, whatever, drop that player name for me in the comments of today's video. From Zeno saying, I'd say it's online refs. They don't call blank. I don't play Madden online. So I guess to an extent, back to that question, I'm kind of looking at when I turn down the flags in the Madden Sims, and they've thrown only a handful this year, most of them on Dallas, which is kind of funny. So sure, if it's worse on online, I believe you guys. From Tyler, is Schoonmaker that good, or is Dallas forced to make him tight end too? So he was a second-round pick. I was higher on Zach Kuntz under the draft, and John Stevens would have been better. Your thoughts? Zach Kuntz is kind of in a very funny situation. He, remember, was a later-round pick, a 7th-round pick by the Jets. He didn't even make the roster in New York. He got waived on the practice squad. I think John Stevens would have beaten out Peyton Hendershot. I think Schoonmaker gets first crack at being tight end too, and unless he's bad, he's going to get the opportunities. He's going to be the option there. It would be a concern for him if the Cowboys, if he doesn't win that tight end 2 job. It means he probably lost it more so than like he didn't win it, if that differentiation makes some sense. So I'm not out on Schoonmaker, but man, he's got to show up and be out there. He missed all that time last year in the spring. He needs to make an impact this year. Now, if you want to be a part of future Cowboys mailbags, we have you guys covered. Simply subscribe to us here at the Cowboys Report. That way you get the notification once we go live. You can tune in and enjoy our mailbags, live shows, and more. Everything on the Dallas Cowboys right here at the Cowboys Report. From John Moore, I think they might eventually trade or cut DeMarcus Lawrence. I think they might just let him leave this upcoming offseason. He is not under contract. They have allowed the deal to be able to be moved on from and to say, go somewhere else if you need to. They could re-sign him, depending on how the year goes, everything else. But they have not committed to Tank Lawrence at all beyond this year. There's no cut needed, no trade needed. So cut's off the table. Now, if the Cowboys are a disaster class this year, which I don't think they're going to be unless everything goes there against them, including a bunch of injuries, which probably would include Tank given his own injury history. Maybe trade deadline could make some sense if they're really, really bad. I don't think they're going to be really, really bad. So I think this might be Tank's last ride in Dallas, but it might just be he leaves as a free agent. Juicebox Games. Sign CeeDee, trade Micah, let Dak walk, draft Jalen Milore if Trey Lance can't perform. Is this your burner, Chris? Is it? Chris is a Bama fan. Here's the issue in general you're going to run into with specifically the Dak part. I think this is probably the right keep, trade, cut version, right? Gotta sign CeeDee. That's too easy. You get a bunch of picks for Micah. I get that angle. You're probably going to be drafting in the 20s, right? If Jalen Milore's there for you in the 20s, it means he probably wasn't better at the things he needs to be better at to be worthy of a true top franchise guy going top 10. And if he does play super well, which he has the potential to, arm strength and mobility are really impressive there. There's traits to like with Milore. I get the interest there. But if he gets better at, not taking as many sacks and attacking the middle of the field, namely the short middle, or the medium range middle, I guess, well, he's going to go top 10. How are you going to get that top 10 pick? Now, maybe trading Micah allows you to do that, but then you still got to figure out a way to replace Micah, and that's how it gets a little bit complicated. From Dallas Diehard, are we sleeping on Royce Freeman? Maybe. I have not talked much about him. We spent more time on Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott, Deuce Vaughn, because it's partially funny. So maybe Royce Freeman impresses. He's fighting for a spot. there had been a report from Clarence Hill that when they signed Freeman meant they were out on Zeke. Clearly not the case. So I'm curious what Freeman does. One big thing for him, he helps on special teams, and that might matter in that running back roster battle. So name a sleeper for me on the Dallas Cowboys roster. Who you got in mind? Names, plural, is applicable. So let me know in the comments right now. Scott Hoover. The gaslighting is bad, but I feel like Dallas is preparing for a mega teardown with Dak / McCarthy leaving and trading Lamb for a haul in 2025. If you extend Lamb, you can't trade him in 2025. You're right about the you can't trade him angle there. You'd tag and trade him and probably get something decent back there. Here's my issue. And this is not an issue with you, Scott, at all. If this is the plan, right? If the plan is we're going to tear it down in 2025, why are you waiting? Why not do it now? You could have traded Dak when he had higher trade value, gotten more back, saved yourself some long-term money. You could have gotten more for CeeDee Lamb now. You could have maximized a Micah trade if that's the route they're going to end up pursuing. Like, the waiting to tear it down doesn't really make sense to me. So if that's their plan, okay, at least it's a damn plan. I think it's a really bad implementation of the plan. From Tyler, even though we haven't seen the 2024 first-year guys play, what would your 2024 draft look like after knowing how the board fell and which picks the Cowboys had? I did that on one of our recap videos. I did the picks I would have made. It would have been Graham Barton if I had not traded down, and I forget who else I would have had, but I would have taken Beebe like a full round earlier. I would have gotten Jalen Wright instead of Leafau. I'll go back and look for it, and I'll link it in the comments of the Mailbag on Demand cut. But I did mention for the keeping it honest type, transparency, the picks I would have made.